Couple of good
All right.
streamers this week. Actually,
Yeah.
one very good one.
Yeah. Spicy. Quarterback streamers, mate.
Yeah.
Who are you looking at here? So before we get into it, under 60% ownership on ESPN Fantasy is what we deem to be a streamer. So go ahead.
I think we're definitely going to have the same bloke here. Derek Carr playing against Atlanta. He's in 40%. He's rostered in 40% of leagues.
Yeah.
Looked unreal last week. He's playing the worst pass defense in the league this week. Lock him in for 20 plus. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns.
I don't really know how he's still not above 60%.
Now I know.
Like, at least roster him as a backup to those 1 QB listeners, but in 2 QB leagues, I'd hope his ownership's 100% there. Yeah, Derek Carr, I can't lie, is someone I always forget about because he is in a team in our league that is inactive, so I don't see him as an option to get, but yeah, 100% great option there. He's been balling out even against hard defenses, so against the Falcons, watch out. My streamer is actually the guy I've picked up in my QB2 position or my super flex. Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones up against the Bengals this week, who are the 6th worst pass defense since September. Have conceded the 7th most points against as well since September. So one of the most favourable matchups going around. In his last 5 games, he's been averaging over 50 rushing yards a game and has averaged over 1 red zone carry, which is like a lot more than some running backs. So pretty handy baseline there. And then in the last 5 games, he's actually had the second hardest fixture out of the 20 quarterbacks I researched behind Tua. So he's been doing pretty well against tough teams. So you'd think against this Bengals lineup, he can do pretty well. And you'd be backing them in to score 3 or 4 touchdowns. So you'd think he's guaranteed to be involved in at least 2 or 3 of them. So I think he's got I think he's actually a pretty safe option this week, if I'm honest. I don't want to jinx it because I do have him and he is somewhat unpredictable, especially with like his fumbles and stuff. But yeah, I like him this week and moving forward. I think he's been like slowly building this year. He started slow, but I think he's been hitting his straps before the bye. Any other quarterbacks, or have you just got one per posse?
One per posse.
All right, yeah, same. Running back.
Yeah, so Wayne Gorman is my main one here. Same as Danny Dimes. They're playing the Bengals, pretty average defense, and Devonta Freeman's still out, so he'll have a good role. Pretty safe for 12 plus points. But if Giovanni Bernard is out, we've got Samaje Perine. I believe he's the brother of the Jets from the Jets. Yeah. Look, he's probably horseshit. But if Bernard's out, he's going to have a big role. And like, if you're desperate for a running back, I think he's rostered in 1% of leagues. So he's a pretty safe play for 10 points, I would say.
That's a ballsy shout, mate. It's a ballsy shout.
He'll get the carries. So if you're desperate,
and he actually has been taking a few red zone attempts from Bernard. So imagine when he's gone, he's probably going to get quite a bit of action in there. But mine's Wayne Gorman, as you mentioned. Freeman's still on injury reserve. I feel like everyone's kind of forgot about his recent form because they were on the bye. So no one picked him up going into the bye, and then now everyone's forgotten. So I think he's probably under rostered. I think he would have been rostered in a lot more leagues if he didn't have that bye. He's had 5 rushing touchdowns in his last 4, so they clearly like to go to him in the red zone. And the Bengals are the 3rd worst rush defense, so I like him there, as you said, for 12 plus, pretty much guaranteed a touchdown, I reckon. And yeah, pretty safe shout there for Wayne Gorman. Wide receivers, once again, uneducated in this posse, so I was absolutely guessing, but who are you streaming here?
Yeah, the wide receivers are usually pretty desperate. I've gone Corey Davis. I'm not sure how this bloke's rostered in under 60% of leagues. The Titans are playing Indy, but Rhodes will be giving the hard tag to AJ Brown, so Davis should be open for most of the game. And he's actually been copping quite a few receptions over the last few weeks. So I think he's a decent play.
Yeah, it's not a
if you're desperate, obviously.
But he's like clearly the best player under 60% ownership. So that's probably the most safe option. I've got a very volatile option here. And based on the law of averages, he's probably going to get negatives. But Nelson Aguilar owned in 22% of leagues, coming up against the Falcons, who are the third worst pass defense since September. Gain script probably won't suit him like it did against the Chiefs, but huge risks involved. But he saw 9 targets on Monday or Sunday or whenever they played. He's had 4 red zone targets in the last 2 weeks, and so that's within 20 yards, and he also cops a lot of targets towards the red zone from about 40 out. So he's one of their favorite TD options. Carr loves going deep to him, so yeah, he's a huge risk, but he realistically only needs like 3 catches to put up a decent score with how far he goes for each reception. So yeah, very risky option.
He's been looking good recently, must say.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of bizarre how he's taken that role when they've got Henry Ruggs, but they obviously back him in. He's obviously doing very well at it. But yeah, he's my streamer. Very risky option, but if you're feeling frisky, go for him. Tight ends though, mate.
Yep. So this position is disgusting for streamers this week. This is if you're extremely desperate, if your tight end's injured or something like that. But Mike Gesicki, they're playing. He's been pretty shit all year, but they're playing the Jets. The Dolphins should put up a lot of points, and they'll carve them up. So, I mean, he'll probably do something, but like, yeah, it's if you like genuinely don't have a tight end.
Yeah, at this point in the season, I don't really know why you wouldn't have a tight end because there's no buys and there's no injuries apart from Kittle. But if you are desperate, he's a good shout. Mine, I've gone the Corey Davis route. Not really bothered about fixture. I've just gone the best available, Dalton Schultz. He is one of Andy Dalton's favorite targets. I was listening to a podcast. Apparently, they are the first duo where like the person's last name is the first name to ever have a touchdown like connection. That was a weird stat, but he's owned in 29% of leagues, which I think is pretty stiff. He's probably not in the top 10 tight ends, but he's right thereabouts. He's seen at least 6 targets in his last 3 matches, saw 4 red zone targets in the last week, and 4 red zone targets basically converts into 1 touchdown every time. So although Washington aren't a bad defense at all, I think he's a fairly safe option for 3 or 4 catches. So yeah, if you just want to lock in like an 8 or something, go for him with a little bit of upside. But yeah, that's it for the streaming section. Now time for our
It's a miracle! Oh yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable! Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.